Today is April 5th. It looks like we have quorum. I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. It's 6:31. So in keeping with an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency as amended by Governor Baker on February 12, 2022, this meeting will be conducted remotely over Zoom. Attendance by committee members will be remote, and remote attendance shall count towards quorum. The meeting will broadcast live and be recorded on ECAT. While conducting meetings remotely, we'll endeavor to keep meeting operations as close to standard procedures as possible. However, use of this platform will necessitate some additional meeting protocols. While committee members will be on video and audio, public participation will join the webinar as attendees, meaning they are muted with no video feed from them. During the public participation portion of the meeting, members of the public can be recognized by using their raise hand function found under participants from Zoom, or make a request with the Q&A function. If you're joining only by phone, you can press *9 to raise your hand. Please state your name and address for the record. There is also a markup feature in Zoom, which will allow for a call out specific areas of a presentation materials. And as in any public meeting, indecent behavior will not be tolerated, and anyone who abuses use of the meeting platform will be terminated from the meeting. Business will be handled at the times indicated on the agenda or in the order indicated on the agenda. Business not concluded in the allotted time will be tabled to the end of the meeting to allow for timely logins and remote attendance. Committee members are asked to announce themselves when making a motion and second, so that it is clear to the audience and minute takers who made motions. All votes will be by roll call, and when all business indicated on the agenda has been completed, the members will vote to adjourn the meeting, signaling the end of the meeting and the termination of the ECAT recording. All participants will be disconnected from the webinar at that time. Oh, look, we have Michelle. Promote her. Okay, perfect. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Just to ensure that we do have all of the attendees noted, can you go ahead and state your name in alphabetical order to go ahead and get this meeting started?
Liz Bornstein.
Beth Devonshire.
Michelle Durance.
Foster.
I don't know if I'm next, but Gershman here.
Ramoa here.
Archioli here.
Anne is here. All right. And Kelly, I see that you're there as well for meeting minutes. So we'll go ahead and get started. So Kelly did distribute the meeting minutes on March 1st. Everyone, or from our March 1st meeting. Yeah. Did everybody get a chance to review? Any questions, any comments? Can we go ahead and approve? Do I have a motion to approve?
Yeah,
So moved.
Second.
Okay, can we go ahead and vote?
Bornstein, yes.
Devonshire, yes.
Durance, yes.
Foster, yes.
Gershman, yes.
Ramoa, yes.
Archioli, yes.
And Chan, yes. Thank you. All right. Okay, so March training update. We had the addressing implicit bias training this past week, right? Last week, yes, last week on Thursday night. My goodness. Liza Talusan, she hosted the session for us. We had 36 individual logins for the meeting. And I say that because, you know, some folks may have had doubled up, right, with one login, like my son was watching for a portion of the session. I think it went really well. It was a webinar format, so, you know, it wasn't necessarily interactive, but she was able to get through a good amount of material in the hour. You know, I think it was a good session. I know there was some conflicts that evening. There was a middle school art show that was going on, and we still ended up with 36 participants. So I was pretty excited about that. And I know Kathy and Michelle, we did a good job, I think, and Amy, in terms of kind of getting the word out there around the event. So we ended up, I think, initially had like 70 registrants, but 36 actual logins on the day of. So I think it was a good session. Really appreciate Liza's continued partnership with the HRC. She was chatting with us before the session started and talking to us about some of the other sessions that she offers and hosts. And I just think she's such a great partner to our organization. I know, Kathy, you were on. I saw a bunch of folks on. Any other feedback from other folks who attended?
I didn't attend her last one, so it was the first time I had seen her, and I thought she was excellent. She really has command of the content of the information and presents it in such a pleasant way. My only comment is, she had 3 sections of the presentation, and each one could have been its own presentation, because she, it was a lot to absorb and really be able, because she had to go so quickly. But I thought she was great. And I think we are very fortunate to have her as someone to partner with us.
Excellent. Thank you. And thanks to Amy for kind of all the effort around the Eventbrite setup, the coordination, the communication with Liza's team. So I think it worked out really, really well. Awesome. Okay, no questions around training. So our kind of first quarter event is complete, and I think a good success for the group. The next update is around the proclamation status. I don't know, Liz or Kathy, do you want to take that?
Sure. So yay, proclamation is done. We have all the signatories, and there's a PDF of the signed version. It's sort of currently moving around our website looking for the best home at the moment. And then the next steps, Kathy and I have a meeting later this week, is sort of the rollout and what that's going to look like. So we have some ideas, but we're going to hammer them out on Thursday, and we'll of course keep the HRC posted.
Can I ask you a question, Liz? I sent a follow-up email. If part of that rollout includes information on our website, if you just tell me like what the message is. I feel like the image of the signed document just kind of got plopped on the page.
Oh yeah, that was a miscommunication where Denise was unclear about to what degree we had control over things. So she had asked Michael to post it, and Michael just posted it. So we can certainly put it in a different spot or label it more clearly. You're welcome to do that. And going forward, that won't happen again.
Oh no, I don't. I'm glad it's up there.
But I agree. At like the
I could give.
Yeah,
it's just a PDF, like just a signed document. We should
right.
just write a lead in and write about the partnership with RMK and give it a real home.
Yeah. I will add that to our list to talk about on Thursday.
Awesome.
All right.
Okay, happy to have this kind of move to finalization and rollout. So that's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is our Pride event. And Amy's been doing a lot of work around this. Amy, do you want to give the group the update?
Yeah, tons of progress, lots of details. So I'll like time box myself to a couple minutes to give updates, because we also have a meeting tomorrow at 7:30 on Zoom. I'm going to make myself available every Wednesday at 7:30 and use the same link if there anything comes up. I don't think we've decided as a subcommittee how frequently to meet, but there's a lot of work to do. And I think we're getting to the place where it might be an all hands on deck kind of situation. So if people want to jump in and offer to help with anything, let me know. As I'm already like over 2 minutes, but give my spiel. I'll kind of like point out the areas where we need the most help. Marketing and promo. This is a place where we could use some help. So all of the content is drafted. I got feedback from several people, which was awesome. Thank you. I will go make the changes, and hopefully we can start promoting it for real in the next week or two. I think where I could use the most help is reaching out to other people, kind of our standard protocol of, you know, the enterprise, wicked local. I drafted something for the town crier. Like if anyone wants to help, my hope is that we go bigger than usual, that we might reach out to surrounding towns and stuff like that to send promotional material. So if anyone has bandwidth to do some emailing and communicating, that would be awesome. Sponsorships. Karen, you might want to chime in here a little. I know that we had a volunteer outside of the committee who was really awesome at fundraising. Courtney Pupkin is going to step in and help with fundraising. We drafted and reviewed a sponsorship letter, which she's currently using. And we kind of came up with some rough fundraising goals based on any things we knew we wanted to spend money on for the event. I think she's attending the meeting tomorrow. That's about all I know about what she's doing, but I'm optimistic. It sounded like she's optimistic that we can reach our goals in the time period we have. So that's great. Vendors. So mostly, to the best of my knowledge, we've just thrown around a few ideas. I think we've got a couple of people set in stone, but there's also a vendor agreement that we're trying to get people to sign potentially. And that right now the town is looking at that agreement. It has some language about liability in there that we want them to hopefully approve. And then I know Michelle and Sergio are taking the lead with like firming this up once we have that form available to send to people. So I don't know, Michelle and Sergio, if you've put any other thought or effort into it for now, or if we're just on hold until that agreement is ready, that's okay too. Anything to add?
Yeah, I think we take some few steps forward too. Once the agreement's there, we can forward that as well. So okay. I think I mentioned that I reached out to the LGBTQ Commerce Committee. So hopefully they're kind of making a list for us. And I gave them that initial like request of the vendor, like the size plot, that the electricity may be limited. So that way they're aware of who can come in. Mm-hmm. Just kind of waiting to follow up with that. And then similarly with the music, I made the list of kind of the LGBT community bands. So there's the folk singers, the pop, punk music, rock, and some rap hip hop. I start with Mint Green just because I kind of like their music. My baby's crying in the back, just heads up. Mm-hmm. So just because I like rock, so I started with them first. They seemed interested, so I'm just waiting for them to follow up as well. And then similarly with the resources, I mentioned that I have a committee with the LGBT community in 2 weeks, meeting there to see if they can possibly have like a specialist to come in to talk about just family, the individuals themselves, all these resources they could potentially offer.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so first steps.
Just to give examples, some of the other vendors that we're thinking about, Carrie Mullen, I'm not sure if anyone remembers her, but she said she'd be willing to do a book signing and sell her book and also do a story hour or a story time with her book. I know that Esme has some connections, and I'm pretty sure that she invited a couple of crafter / like jewelry maker people to exhibit. So we'll see how it goes. A couple other committees or subcommittees that if for people who can't see, I have like a Trello board with each function and like kind of a point person for each. So Beth is going to work on volunteers.
Amy, do you want to share screen and just pull that up for the group? Because sure. I wonder maybe just so they can see kind of that, because there has been, Amy's put a lot of effort into this and organization. So I think we definitely need some additional support for some of these things. So maybe as we're kind of walking through, or as Amy's walking through, just maybe mentally note areas that you might have specific interest? And where you
Yeah,
like to
so
participate. Oh,
yeah, this is it. I talked through marketing and promo. I feel like we've got a firm grip on that. Sponsorships, Courtney's taking over. I think the biggest piece for us to do is to work on that letter, which is done. Vendors, we need the agreement, and once we have the agreement, we can start officially inviting people. We only have 10 spaces, so hopefully it will fill up quickly. When we get there,
so Amy, maybe a little bit more around that agreement piece, because I do think, as you mentioned, that's kind of a little bit of a holdup for us. So Amy has been reaching out to the town to kind of figure out this whole liability piece. And that seems a little bit more kind of complex than we might have thought. Anybody have any knowledge around this process at all? Maybe Amy can share the last communication that we received to kind of figure out some recommended next steps.
yes. Do I have it open? I'm sorry, I'm sharing like all my personal, basically, the NRT asked us if we had liability insurance through the town. So we've corresponded with the town, and we only are covered if we are just an exhibitor ourselves. Like if we had a booth, then we would be covered. However, since we are hosting the event, we need to be covered for all of the other people attending, for example. So I've gone back and forth with the town a few times. They've got all the information about the event. The latest was that, I don't know, Mary's email wasn't entirely clear to me. I don't think we're covered. We would need to ask the vendors themselves to be covered and show proof of liability insurance. That's my understanding so far. She's trying to find out for like what dollar amount they would need to be insured. So I don't know how this is gonna slow us up, or if there are any vendors who may not have liability insurance and may not want to have a booth. And I don't know. I also, my other question, and she literally sent this email like 15 minutes ago, so sorry. My other question that I'll write back to her is, what if it's a vendor like another nonprofit organization, or like Easton Public Schools? We were going to ask them to talk about all the resources that are available for LGBTQ youth. Like, do they need to be covered too? I don't know. So if anyone has experience with this, feel free to chime in. Otherwise, I'll just keep chipping away and asking.
Is a waiver an option? Like if they don't have insurance?
I sent them the waiver. I mean, the vendor agreement has liability language in it. And it includes, I included us, the town and the NRT. It says we would not be liable if anything happened, but I don't know if that's good enough. So she is sending that document to the insurance agency to see what they say.
Amy, is there such a thing as like a one-day policy?
I don't know. I will add that to my list of questions.
Because I'm thinking typically the vendors, I mean, granted, my experience is the craft fair, they're not big enough to be having insurance.
Right. And I have absolutely no idea. Say there was such thing as a one-day policy, like how much would that cost? I don't have any even guess. So lots of questions. Set up, cleanup. We've already got.
I wonder if I wonder if the NRT might be able to help us out a little more here, because they do host the Sheep Pasture hosts the NRT events and annually, and I'm guessing there must be some sort of communication with vendors on that day that if something were to happen, or they must have to sign some sort of documentation at that point. Could we maybe collaborate with Jen around that to see if we can come up with a.
I did ask
Yeah.
her. I can't remember what her response was, but the gist of it was that it would be preferable to have it through us and the town. I can
Okay.
revisit it. She, FYI, she also said this was not a make or break deal. And that's fine on her end, but I know we still need to follow the appropriate channels for HRC and being a town committee. So she's saying, like, you know, we wouldn't say you can't have it if you can't show it, but we need to do it right anyway. So anything?
Yeah,
else
I mean, it
about
sounds like we
liability?
at least have the right point of contact in town, which I think took a little bit to get to.
Yeah.
So that's good. And I guess, yeah, if anybody has some experience with this or has gone through something like this, maybe reach out to Amy directly to provide any kind of recommendations. Maybe like Michelle was saying, the one day, if that's an option. If you have any other ideas like that, I think we're open to them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Open to any ideas? The rest of it is just details, events, activities. I reached out to the Y, they're willing to help out. The NRT has some fun things we can use, like cornhole and giant Jenga. Sergio's been researching music. We also have in our back pocket, the barn burners from Easton said they would be happy to volunteer some time. I'm excited to hear Beth and Karen, do you want to give a food update?
Yeah, we started to look into, we started to talk about food, which is, that's why we volunteered, our favorite topic. So I think initially we had talked about food trucks, and then there seemed to be, maybe some sort of limitation around how many food trucks we could have, and then would food trucks be enough? I think the challenging part is not necessarily knowing how many people might show up, which I think now we're just getting that approval for the Facebook page, right, Amy? So once we kind of get that going, we can see people click on, I'm going, I'm interested, I'm not interested, and maybe start to get a little bit more of an idea of the number of people we'll be working with. But what Beth and I had talked about was, could we start to look at vendors that frequent the NRT, folks that have had stands there before, have served the community before, so they know approximately how much they would get and have on hand, how the setup would be, those types of things. So I started to reach out to a few and have already started to receive some feedback, including Farmer's Daughter, and some other folks in town. And then I know Beth, you started to reach out to some of the farmers markets folks. I don't know if you wanted to provide an update to the group on that.
Yeah, I went to Simpson Springs to see if they had a current list of vendors. They don't, because most of those folks go over to Langwater now. I think I kicked a hornet's nest. But they did say that they would, I talked to them about possibly donating, or not donating, but we could get water from them if possible. And, they would rent out the tanks to us and go from there. I did email Langwater, because they're the ones now who have the list of vendors as well as the pizza oven, just to see who those folks are. So but the woman from Simpson Springs said, listen, if you're doing it on a Saturday, it might be difficult because those folks are usually already committed to other places. So we can, if we reach out to them now, we might get a sense of, are they available? Are they not? Hopefully I'll hear back from Langwater this week. If not, I'll go on Saturday when the farm's open.
I can't hear you, Karen.
I know Amy already reached out to Chubby Chickpea, and so we have that potential food truck option, and that one you just have to kind of guarantee an amount, which I think is pretty much the standard for a lot of these food trucks. We were also thinking an ice cream truck would be kind of fun, especially since we're kind of marketing as a family event. So we have several leads, and I'm going to guess over the next week or so, we'll be able to start to firm them down.
Awesome.
Any questions from the group? Okay.
I have a
Don't
question.
you worry, there's going to be food. Yes, yes, Kathy.
So what is the timing of this event? What are you guys envisioning?
Oh yeah, it's Saturday, June 18th from 11 to 2.
Okay.
And it's not the whole sheep pasture. It's like a concentrated area. So if you're familiar with it, it's by the chickens. It's the main central space in between the buildings. So they have electricity there, so they can set up a stage for music, or an area for music. And then they've Jen said, and we kind of mapped it out together, that you can fit just about 5 vendors on either side. They also said that they would give us a little bit of the green space where we did the envelope project is one space. And then there's another one on the other side of that building that is a small space that would be perfect for like story hour or something like that.
Okay, so for vendors, we probably do want some kind of lunch food if it's over.
Yeah.
What about rain? If we're in that spot.
They've offered us tents. I need to follow up with Jen about whether the pavilion is even an option. I think we're just rain or shine. And then we've also talked to the subcommittee about even if it's a nice day and we have a few additional food vendors and we only have 10 spaces for other people, that maybe we even ask if we could have that the red building. I don't know what they're called, sorry, but the place where they sell food at the harvest fair. Usually there's like pies in there, stuff.
Right. So the pavilion is closed right now. I don't know.
Oh,
why.
it is. Okay.
I mean,
It's blocked off.
Yeah, it's totally
Okay.
blocked.
I'll ask.
But even if you went, sort of down the area where across from where we had the envelopes and things, somehow down that road, maybe we could get something. They have so much space. We should be able to just spread out.
They do. I will say that they're using some of their buildings that they would otherwise use for functions for temporary offices. I think they might be doing some work in one wherever their normal offices are.
Okay, so I think that
there's
red
also the barn, the big barn, like, yeah.
Yeah, so they've been amazing, right, Amy? I mean, I think Jen's been awesome and extremely accommodating. So my guess is as soon as we start to probably firm up, how many vendors we're going to have, how many food, whatever, I think that they'll likely be able to work with us in terms of kind of figuring out the space. As for the rain option, I mean, I think it's 3 hours. If it rains, it rains. I don't know how much effort we're going to put into trying to have a covered event, because I think that's going to be very difficult. But yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of worth a contingency plan, but I'm not sure how much effort, we want to put into that, just because again, it is a 3-hour time slot, and it's June, it's not going to rain.
That whole area is it's covered in shady anyway. So if it's sprinkling, like it's a non-issue for me, but I don't know. Yeah, I'll definitely ask about it.
It'll make the tea dance even more enjoyable, right, Beth?
I could go on and on.
Without a doubt, the disco tea dance, without a doubt.
We've talked through even more details than this, so if anyone wants to hear more, come tomorrow night. I would say one other action item that no one has signed up for is Jen had a great idea, Jen from the NRT. She said, and this really resonated with me, we want to make this an event where people come and stay. We don't want them to just walk through and go. Like, let's make it an event. Let's give people a reason to hang out. And that silent auctions are a good way to do that. So if anybody wanted to take that one specific thing as an action item, speak now. Otherwise, we might just have to
We need
delete it because I think there's enough other stuff to do.
Yeah. Yeah, unless we can get one of those like really awesome PTA moms that that run those events for some of the lower elementary schools, because man, they've ran some pretty exciting stuff in town. I know for center school they did. Maybe we can try and reach out to a couple of friends and see if there's any interest in maybe spearheading that for us. And if not, then yeah, Amy, I think we've got a lot on our plate to date.
Agree. That's the latest.
Okay. So this is going to be the kind of prime focus for the HRC over the next several months. We're not planning any other kind of major event, activity, or anything like that. So we have this subcommittee that now Amy has set up, this Trello board that, I think if you're interested, I'm sure Amy will gladly give you access to, so you can see how the activities are coming along. But I would say that, this will kind of be our prime focus, at least all the way through the event taking place, which will be June 18th. So if you're not signed up to something or not leading something, please consider doing so, because the more help we can get in getting this going, the better off we'll be. Okay. Any questions from committee members on that at all before we move on? Okay. Partner collaboration updates. Kathy, anything from RMK? I know Denise talked about the one book. Is it one book, one town, one book?
Right. I have not heard. We have not heard from her. So, I know they're going to choose a book, and they're hoping to present it and have an event. Right, Liz, in June, as a kickoff for this. But we have not met, so I'll let you know when I hear from her.
The working idea right now is to tie this into the proclamation kickoff by connecting the proclamation with an event. So it's not just signing the proclamation, but it's associating it with an action. So the idea would be sort of a ceremonial signing of the proclamation, even though we have the actual document, working out the plan for what community involvement in the proclamation would look like, and then say, and we're launching this one book, one town read. Denise wanted, the original working idea was to do it over the summer, like Kathy said, so that in the fall, the schools could be incorporated when students are back in session. So the idea is you would have the summer to read it, and fall is when we might do discussion groups. The other working date for doing this was possibly Juneteenth, because that would have good symbolism to connect to the purpose of the proclamation. That is Father's Day. So that's a challenge. And we're hosting our Pride event the day before, which is a bandwidth and event challenge, or it's an exciting weekend of a bunch of human rights related things in Easton, depending on how things pan out.
Okay, awesome. And then any update, I think, Kathy, you had mentioned that RMK was looking at the critical race theory as a training topic. Any more conversation around that?
Yes. They have a date. I think it is, I'm going to say April 28th, but keep talking and let me look and see if I can find it.
Okay. Okay. And anything else from a partner collaboration standpoint?
I helped with the flyer. It is April 28th from 6:30 to 8 is the critical race theory thing.
Yes, thank you.
Just one more, I don't know if he's a partner, but I did invite Pastor Polk to participate in any Pride events, and he said he would help us, get the word out.
I was gonna possibly reach out to him to see if there's any volunteers. I reached out to the superintendent's office today and just said, I know that people have to get their hours in for honor society and other issues. So just wondering if there are people who might want to volunteer.
I did. He didn't offer up, and maybe that's just like a numbers resources thing, but I did say,
Yeah.
I invited him to the meeting and I invited him to have somebody on the subcommittee. So yeah.
Okay, I'm sure we'll get a ton of OA and middle schoolers who are willing to help support the event. Okay, awesome. Other action items? Anything else that we didn't get to cover today?
I have two. So one is the shirts. So I've picked up the shirts, they're in, yay. So we might want to incorporate what to do with them. We could wait until the Pride event and have them for sale there, or if we wanted to put it out to allies. So that would be something to discuss. And then the other action item when we finish that is the publicity plan, which we had said we were going to talk about this month.
I think doing the Pride event, and I also think we also have a lot more signs, don't we? Still have signs that we want to distribute at that
about
event.
Half, I think. Yeah, we have about half.
Well, that would be simpler.
I
and
agree.
that also even could be a draw if people were more interested in the sign or shirt and then also ended up coming to the Pride event. That could be a way to cast the net widely.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Okay, so I will move the box to my basement and bring it back up in June.
I'm so glad Kathy mentioned those signs because they're in my basement. So, okay, good deal.
While we're on that topic, I also have, I'm picking up the massive wings artwork. It's been at OA for quite some time, so I'm picking it up this week. I was just gonna see if one of the other schools wanted to host it for a little while, but if in fact we think it's a good spot to show it somehow at the Pride event, I'm happy to hold off on moving it.
Yeah, I think that would be great. And it's rainbow too, so it's perfect. And we have a perfect spot for it, Allie.
The NRT also has a giant rainbow flag they're gonna put up for the event.
Awesome.
Okay, then I'll hold on to it.
Yeah, yeah, I think that would be good. All of our basements full of HRC stuff. I love it. Okay. And publicity plan, Liz, what were your thoughts around that? Sorry, I need you to jog my memory there.
So last month we had talked about having the master list of like where are all the outlets where we publicize them and who's going to be the HRC contact, because lately we've been kind of doing it from scratch for everything. And I feel like a couple years ago we had started this list. I was just trying to find it right now because I feel like it was maybe in a Google Doc, but regardless, we can just recreate it. So just like Kathy always contacts the allies, we should know what our outlets are and we should have regular jobs to do it. Unless we create a communications director who then does it all themselves.
Right, that does sound very familiar. And I might have that list, but I mean, we can definitely kind of start from scratch again.
So that seems like something we can, you can look for it. If not, like start it from scratch, we can add to it outside of the meeting and perhaps finalize it at the next meeting.
I do think we need to broaden how we communicate and see if we can add some additional people to communicate to every time. Because I think we do the crier, we do the allies, we try to get something in the with whatever, it's not the enterprise, but whatever. And then, but I think there are other groups you probably could, if we had a connection with, if we said, let's say we have a connection with the Moms Club and we say, please publish this, or with the Chamber of Commerce and please out to your members, something more a little bit more organized than we have so far.
That also would be a good use of our allies. Like that would be a good way to use manpower and say like, please, you know, if you're like a communication liaison, they could each take care of forwarding content that we feed them.
Yep.
Yeah, this will be good because as we establish this, we'll be leveraging it for the Pride event. So,
yeah,
So,
right.
so
maybe
between this meeting and next meeting, I can send that out to the allies and ask them, do you have that kind of role, or is there some way you can help publicize our information and see what we get?
and also ask them, well, we could do a general call, like, are you interested in helping us publicize? And we could also do a plan where we say like, what are the groups, or where would you get your information about stuff in town, or what are the groups you're involved in? And that might help us say like, oh yeah, the Lions Club, or oh yeah, you know, a group or you know, organization we hadn't thought of or that isn't currently on our list.
okay, that sounds good. We'll try and leverage our ally list to figure out what other contacts we want to have. And then maybe our next session, we can just make sure that list is comprehensive and then start thinking about who would be a good point of contact for us for each of those. Okay, that sounds good. In terms of our next meeting, it looks like that's currently scheduled for Tuesday, May 3rd. Any concerns with that from the group at all? And I don't see any public participation, or I don't see any hands raised or any questions in the Q&A, but let me just quickly check that. Nope, I don't see anything there. Anything else for tonight's meeting? All right, so I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Hey, can we vote?
Ornstein, yes.
Devonshire, yes.
Grants, yes.
Foster, yes.
Hirschman, yes.
Oh, yes.
Urchioli, yes.
And yes, thank you, everyone. Very efficient meeting. Have a great night.
Hi, thank you.